Welcome to the official Supercross Live post-show fueled by Monster Energy. Kevin Barnett hanging out with Jim Holley. Indy just complete. And Jim, you were saying it early in the day, this track looked like it was going to be really good. The dirt was going to be grippy, but it was slick underneath, and the riders kept telling you about it.
I talked to a lot of guys, after the main events, and they were saying, man, this was one of the slipperiest tracks, even slipperier than Anaheim or anything they've had thus far this season.
Let's start off with that Supercross Lights East Regional, this being the 5th race, and Ken Roczen out with the whole shot. And then the red flag came out. Bad crash by Cunningham, and everyone was scrambling for their rule books. It's section 4.21. For those of you wanting to know what the rule book ruling says about this restart procedure that we saw for the first time, a staggered restart.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, the AMA implemented a long time ago. That came from dirt track racing. I mean, back when they were racing, a guy washes out and it's 10 laps in, you still got to finish up the main event, so you go back to a staggered start. I liked it. I think it's great, and the way they staggered them to the outside, nobody can get underneath and push anybody out. But, you mentioned Ken Roczen had that whole shot, and he's probably thinking, hey, I can win this thing, and all of a sudden the red flag comes out. He's going, well, about the only thing I got is $1,000 from Nuclear Cowboys. They restaggered. He gets out. Looked like he's going to win this thing, and they start on a staggered start. Remember, they had already completed 4 laps, so they pick it right up at lap 5, and he's just got 10 more laps to go basically, and he throws it away and hands it over to Blake Wharton. And what a great win for Blake Wharton. You'd mentioned that the last time he had won was back in '09, and that kid's been through a lot with shoulder surgeries and just injuries and being out and missing a lot of the season. But he was always there. He had a podium earlier this year. He's been in a lot of force. He's led some races in heat races. He knew he had the speed, but it all came together for Blake Wharton tonight in Indy.
Yeah, Barsha seemed like he had a little bit too much confidence going into this main, and he just couldn't get it done, finished up with a 3rd. But then in 2nd place, Darren Durham with a fantastic ride, making Mitch Payton look really smart.
Well, Mitch Payton knows how to pick him. What can you say? I mean, Darren Durham has been consistent, and Darren Durham comes away with his first heat race career win earlier tonight. So he's had a lot of confidence coming into that main event. He rode really well, but like you said, Barsha, that's it, 4 in a row, and the streak is over for him. But he was in damage control. I mean, remember, we were talking about it when the red flag came out that that's going to help out Barsha, and sure enough it did, because I mean, at one point prior to the restart he was in 8th, and then he fell down, he was in 10th. So I mean, that helped Barsha tremendously. I mean, for Barsha to get up on that podium and get a 3rd, I mean, he was happy with that.
It tightened up the racing for sure, and there will be a lot more tight racing to come in that East Regional. Moving on to that Supercross class, several guys out already, and James Stewart goes down early.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. In that heat race, he goes down with Kevin Windham. Kevin Windham gets up and has to come through that last chance to get into the main event. But Stewart hit his head a little bit. He actually passed the test, but I talked to Coy Gibbs, and he said he was just a little bit groggy, and they just said, you know what, that's it. But, a lot of other guys didn't make that main event. Yeah. I'm talking Jake Weimer on that factory Kawasaki. Him and Nick Way got together. Nick Way not unable to ride for that main event, and Josh Hansen injured himself in St. Louis, had a horrible weekend, didn't make it in Daytona, and then here tonight, he pulled out of it after practice, said that's it, I got to get an MRI done on my ankle and see where I'm at.
And what's becoming a pattern, Ryan Villapoto up front takes the win, but not before he had to do a battle with Justin Brayton. Well,
and not only Justin Brayton had to battle Mike Alessi. Mike Alessi collects $1,500 from Nuclear Cowboys. He's leading this thing for about 3 or 4 laps. And I talked to Justin Brayton, and I said, do you think maybe you were a little bit too patient? He says, yeah, if I would, because Brayton led this thing for about 11 or 12 laps. Villapoto, I talked to him, with the track being so slick, it was very hard for guys to make passes. But then on the other hand, I asked Millsaps, who made passes because he didn't have a good start. He comes up and he finishes 3rd on that podium. He says, you know what, I stuck to the ruts. Everybody else thought the ruts were getting deeper, they were moving, it was working for me. But and another guy that I was happy with tonight, Brett Metcalf, 4th. I thought Suzuki was going to have their first podium in 2012, but Metcalf finishing up in 4th. But it was just hard out there for these guys. And you mentioned a guy like Brayton. Talk about a guy like Brayton. I mean, talk about a roller coaster ride. 2 weeks ago, St. Louis, he finishes up 3rd. He goes to Daytona, has a horrible weekend in Daytona, comes back here in Indianapolis and finishes up 2nd and leads the thing for a long time.
Yeah, lots of great rides out there, and there certainly is a lot of talent left in that Supercross class. Lots more great racing to come here, Jim, as we head off to Toronto next week. And if you want to get in the conversation with us between now and then, facebook.com/supercrosslive or twitter.com/supercrosslive, and get on our Facebook page and let us know, or tweet about it. Let us know what you think about that staggered start that we saw in the lights class. We want to hear your opinion. Is that the way to go, or do you want to see some other solution out there that the AMA can come up with? I'm Kevin, he's Jim. This is Supercross Live. Thanks to Monster Energy. We'll see you in Canada.